Alright everyone, welcome back to more Witch on the Holy Night. I've been playing this game for a while now guys, and I just can't seem to put it down. I really am enjoying this visual novel. If anything, we're currently at a point where Aoko is on the search for the witness, whom we all know is Sojiro. And it's going to be really interesting to see what they plan to do with him once they find out who it is and how it's going to go. So if anything else, I hope you all continue to enjoy. Thank you all for the love and support. And let's continue onwards. Alright everyone, and we are back.
その顔を見れば聞かなくてもわかるわ。迷いがなくなったのはいいことだけど、悪い癖ね、青子。
Alice let out a small sigh. It was unusual for Alice to make such a display of her disappointment.
ええ、騙し討ちは趣味じゃないから。殺すにしても正々堂々、正面から理由を言った後にする。それならすっぱり後腐れもないし、文句ある？
文句はないわ。そういうの、好きか嫌いかはこの際関係ないでしょうし。けど、
確実性はどうかってことでしょ？私、いまいち命中率悪いし、その辺の問題は場所選びでフォローしようかなと。私はアリスのようにはいかないから、物理的に逃げられない場所にしようと思うんだけど、何かアイディアない？
Alice nodded and thought. The finger that gently rested on her lips indicated that the question was to her liking.
鏡はどう？鏡の国なら永遠に閉じ込めていられるけど。
あんた、そういうところ常識ないわよね。
She frowned at Alice's bad taste. It was the kind of idea her roommate found to be inspired, but Aoko knew it was out of the question. Aoko was looking for a natural bounded field she could prepare, not a realm bordering on true magic that she couldn't create to begin with.
なら他を当たるのね。でも、ここを使うのだけはやめてちょうだい。
言われなくても分かってるって。けど、そうね。ミラーハウスはいいアイディアかも。
Aoko smirked and shifted her balance away from the wall she was resting on.
サンキュー、アリス。全体の流れは出来上がったわ。ほんと、こういうのってダメ元でも相談してみるものよね。
Now in a good mood, Aoko retreated from the drawing room. Alice tried and failed to visualize what kind of blueprint Aoko had drawn up in her mind, but whatever it was, it appeared to be the thorough kind Aoko was good at. Aoko headed for the bathroom, humming to herself as she went. A year and a half of sharing a living space had taught Alice something. When Aoko Alazaki was in this good of a mood, only deep trouble could follow.
え？青子一人に任せていいのかですって。
It was unclear how long the bird had been in the drawing room. Tripping at Alice, the robin-like bird pranced across the furniture as if it were its property.
そうね。彼女が一人でやると言ったのだから、任せるのが正しい信頼関係なんでしょうけど。
I'm to assume that little blue bird is a familiar? The girl in black raised her arm. The bird tripping once again alighted on her outstretched affectionate finger.
嫌な話だけど、信頼と信用はまた違う話よね。
The bird puffed out its stout chest in agreement, and Aoko was none the wiser to her roommate's rather unsettling comments. The following day was a typically overcast one. The day's classes ended as they had started, uneventfully. Winter break was just around the corner, and with its final exams. Although Misaki High prided itself in discipline, it was still a private school, and as such promoted a culture of independence among its students. Industrious students had a place to explore that side of themselves under the guardianship of the student council president. More easygoing students could spend their time after school as they wished, as long as they were mindful of a personal responsibility. The fact that the poster boy of independence was the student council vice president indicated just how vast the spectrum was.
青崎いるか
Tobimaru Tsukiji threw open the door to the satellite student council room, the rumored location for their secret meetings. Despite all appearances, he was the student council vice president, who also happened to be the poor soul responsible for executing the student council's dirty work. One person was waiting for him in the cramped room. The student council president, Aoko Alazaki, sat imperiously in a folding chair, glaring at Tobimaru and his boisterous entrance.
相変わらず寒いなこの部屋なあ今度ストーブ購入しようぜ
So as to not succumb to Aoko's oppressive silence, Tobimaru opened with some casual small talk.
お疲れ様。ところであんた、何しに来たのか分かってる？
まあなただ事務的に話すのって寒いじゃねえか少しぐらい世間話でもしねえとつまらねえだろ
Tobimaru closed the door and sat down across from Aoko. He was holding a blue envelope.
こういう時は無駄口は叩かない方がいいわよ。なんとなくプロっぽいでしょ？
なるいや
Tobimaru was halfway to agreeing with Aoko before he caught himself and began to shake his head. As much as Tobimaru enjoyed the lack of red tape in his new line of work, he was not ready to turn full spy on his first day on the job.
それで、調べ終わったの？
ああついさっき最後の聴取を済ませてきた詳しいことはその封筒に入ってるお前から渡された例のファイルもそんなか
He tossed the envelope onto the table.
そう。
Aoko picked it up and began to scan through the documents that were inside. She entered her own little world, not sparing the slightest bit of attention for Tobimaru. If ignoring other people were a skill, she would be a master at it.
なあ
何？
一つ聞きたいんだけどよ
だから、何？
The room was filled with a chilling silence. Aoko continued reading without an ounce of emotion upon her face. Though Tobimaru kept up an air of indifference, his stare remained fixedly intently on her.
青崎そういうの作って楽しい
楽しいわけないでしょ。こんなの作ったところで、あんまり使う機会なんてないんだから。
そうかならいい
Whether or not he was convinced, Tobimaru stood up from his chair with a disappointed expression.
最後まで読めばわかるだろうがあんまり確証は取れなかったぜというより一昨日あの辺りにいた生徒はいないって話になりそうだまあ断定はできないけどな
No longer concerned over his task, Tobimaru headed toward the door, as if to say it was out of his hands.
とそうだそういえば一人だけ該当しなかったやつがいる季節外れの転入生までは青崎も調べきれなかったみてえじゃねえか
Aoko raised her head ever so slightly. He was right. The recent transfer student was not included within the scope of her investigation.
そんなわけでその字に関しては調べてないぜまああいつならいつだろうと遅くまでバイトだろうがいや人殺しを見たなんてこと口走ってるようじゃ家で悪い夢でも見てたのかもしれねえか
Uh-oh. Tobimaru cheerfully left the student council room. Simultaneously, Aoko felt her fingers go numb, and the document she was holding spilled all over the table.
そんな、まさかね。
She broke out into a cold sweat and tried to tell herself that there must be some kind of mistake. However, the uncomfortable feeling in her gut would simply not go away. Perhaps because her intuition was almost always right at times like these.
バカらしい。
And yet she knew what she had to do. She would not have hesitated to kill Tobimaru if he had been the witness. But if it was him? So if it was the Vice Student Council, she would be all for it, huh? Look, I've only gotten a chance to know him a little bit. He's not that bad. He really isn't. But for her to just like outright kill him if it was him, but if it's Sojiro, it's a different story. Oh man. Just considering the possibility caused her blood to run cold. Aoko put her forehead in her hands and began to brood. And then suddenly, let us talk choice. You will always be faced with choices. A virtuous fool and a wicked sage. You cannot say both. You must pick one. That is the freedom granted to you. 2 years earlier, Aoko muttered the words offered by her grandfather the day she replaced her elder sister as his successor and let out a sigh of lament.
すごくバカみたい。
She laughed at her own intuition, but it was no joke. If only those words had never been said. Aoko locked up the student council room and left for the day. Calmly, as though nothing untoward had happened, she greeted the students as they passed her in the halls. She was almost shocked by how natural she seemed. There were still plenty of students at the school. The grounds were noisy with the chattering of students who had finished the day but had yet to head home. Others still had club activities. The gray sky looked ready to pour, but nobody seemed to pay it any mind. Amidst the clamor, Aoko hastened to the school gate. She passed by some students in animated conversation. They seemed to be talking about their after-school plans. Apparently, they were adamant about maximizing their free time. She could not figure out how they could possibly be so irresponsibly focused on fun, but at the same time she was in no mood to make fun or feel envious of them. 2 short years prior, she had been just like them.
根は冷めてるのかな、私って。
She retied her scarf this time more tightly, to give off an air of solitude, but she was fooling no one. After all, what people who feign solitude are really masking is rejection.
そうよね。孤独っていうのはああいうのを言うもんでしょうし。
The area by the school gate was busier than usual. A group of boys appeared to be huddled behind it. The transparent attempt to be discreet in terms of both location and loudness of voices did nothing to hide the fact that they were noisily arguing about a girl standing alone on the other side of the street. Also, Alice came too. The girl was cloaked in a black cape. At first glance, it could have been mistaken for normal attire, but those from Misaki could tell that she wore the uniform of a prestigious girls' school. Said school had no connection to Misaki High in any way, shape, or form. The two schools were miles apart both physically and spiritually. A member of that school's student body was a rare sighting, as the majority were forced to live in the school dorm. Rain Girls Academy had a reputation as a school for princesses, and it was rare indeed for one to be slumming with the common folk. That alone would have been enough to cause the ruckus among the boys, but this girl looked the epitome of class. One could not help but describe the standing figure as charming. The way she silently motionlessly waited was reminiscent of a meticulously composed portrait. Aoko took one look at her before instantly recalling that one word: solitude.
まったくうちの男子どもは家に帰りもせず陰でこそこそやってるのはそういうこと。
Disgusted, Aoko barged through the gate. At this point, she would normally head home, but today she crossed the street toward the waiting girl.
あれなるは生徒会長様？くそ、追っ払う気なのかよ。痛いんならいつまでだっていさせてあげればいいじゃんか。てか怒られる？怒られるのあの天使。
The president versus the angel.
よその生徒でも校門前にいるぐらいなら別に問題はないと思うけど。青子女子は容赦ねえからな。下手すると平手だぜ、平手。
The boys ran their mouths behind their back. Not in the mood to shut them up, Aoko walked right up to the girl and offered an informal wave.
どうしたのアリス？こんなところに来たって何も面白いことはないって言ったのに。
ありえねえ！
Aoko heard the boys by the gate lose their collective minds and did her best to ignore them.
あのことを確かめに。 青子、あの人たち邪魔なんだけど。
分かってる。今追っ払うから。
In contrast to Alice's small voice, Aoko spoke loud and clear. Naturally, this was on purpose so as to deal with the riffraff by the gate all at once.
会長こっち来んぞ。おい押すなよ、後ろのやつどけって。俺校舎に逃げるから。いやでもあの子会長と知り合いなんでしょ。うまく会長に紹介してもらうとか。さすが一年坊主、まだ戦場の現実ってもんを理解していねえ。よし、死の間際までいい夢見ろよ。
Don't let dreams be dreams. Perhaps because too many of them had gathered in one place, the mob entered a frenzied panic as they tried to escape. Aoko addressed them all.
さーて、部活動があるわけでもなし、ただ家に帰るだけの帰宅部の皆さん、こんなところで何を集まってるのか教えてくれる？
The student council president stared daggers at the boys.
何しろ試験前だもの。身になることなら私も教えてほしいけど、まさかガン首並べて女学院のお嬢様を眺めてただけなんてことはないわよね。声をかける勇気もなくて眺めてただけなんてことは。
Now, one of them was brave enough to admit that this hit the nail on the head. If any of them had such courage, they would have already been chatting the young lady up.
いや僕教室にちょっと忘れ物が。こんなオチならダメ元で玉砕しとくんだった。天文部に行って双眼鏡借りるのどうだ。屋上からお顔を賜るとか。天文部にそんなのねえよ。あるとしたら野鳥同好会じゃね。
それ先月会長が潰したじゃん。鳥めでてる暇があるなら彼女作れって。
ああ、彼女作れですか。すみませんっす。今日は裏口から帰るっす、ザキさん。くそ、じゃあな会長、また明日。
And with those also charming remarks, the boys scattered with their tails between their legs.
楽しそうね、青子。
あ、わかる？
Aoko's response slipped out all too easily. In truth, there were not that many bad apples at Misaki High, and dealing with them wasn't really that bad.
で、ここまで出向くってことは何か分かったの？
結界に残っていた気配の識別は、あとはここで確かめればいいだけよ。
そう。ん？アリス、いつからここに？
下校時刻から。
So she had been here for roughly an hour. Standing in the same place for an hour would be taxing for someone as sensitive to the cold as Alice.
悪いわね、無理させて。
別に好きでやってることだから。
As she spoke, her black eyes were fixed upon the gate and the students passing through it. She had likely been observing the gate in this manner for the past hour. Oh man, if Sojiro is about to come out, she's gonna know it's him.
私を待ってたわけじゃないんでしょ？今からでも付き合うわ。
Alice nodded in assent. If Alice was still here, it meant she had not found the witness yet. If she had found this student, Alice would have already gone home ahead of Aoko and begun to research the student's background.
私の方はダメだった。
She reported the result of Tobimaru's investigation. Alice remained silent. With that, the conversation ended, leaving the two to silently endure the freezing wind. The silent stakeout dragged on endlessly. Students continued to pass the gate, each shocked at the sight of the unusual combo, and head home. After 20 minutes, Aoko let a sigh escape her mouth, perhaps from boredom, perhaps from the cold, or perhaps from both.
ねえ、アリス。帰り黎明に寄ってかない？
Aoko quickly turned to Alice to catch her reaction. Dawn was the name of one of Aoko's favorite coffee shops. Offering no clear indication as to whether she was critical of Aoko's blasé attitude or agreeing to her whims, Alice's gaze shifted ever so slightly. Aoko followed her stare.
あれ、青崎も待ち合わせか？
Uh-oh. The sudden voice took her off guard. There was only one person who spoke with this gentle, good-natured tone.
やっぱそうなるわけか。
Turning her back to Alice, Aoko moved her focus to the newly appeared student.
それで、今日は何の用？
All politeness flew out the window. Already in a bad mood, Aoko's mood plummeted the longer she looked at Sojiro. The subtlety of her expression, however, was lost on him.
いや、これから駅前で水泳部の部長と待ち合わせなんだけど、そのことでお礼を言っておきたくて。
ん？
Well, that was completely unexpected. Thanks. Joining our club. Aoko had a hunch that he was about to say something brainless.
ふーん。お礼って、お礼参りってこと？
Fortunately, Sojiro was completely unaware of the more sinister implications to the word payback.
よくわからないけど、そんな大したことじゃないよ。ただ、水泳部は夏までそう忙しくないって話だったから。
Sojiro was just about to thank her for recommending a club that would not take up much of his time when Aoko cut him off with an expression of disinterest.
当然でしょ。幽霊部員になりそうな生徒なんて紹介できないから。忙しいあなたでも務まりそうな場所があったから口に出しただけよ。
なるほど、無駄がないね。
His open admiration for her sapped Aoko's will to fight. Finding a suitable club and negotiating with its captain hadn't been an efficient use of her time at all.
とにかくお世話になったから、それで礼を言っときたくて。
Sojiro gratefully dipped his head, but not before the flustered Aoko stopped him.
よしてよ。今あなたにそんなことされても迷惑だから。それで、水泳部はどう？やっていけそう？
An awkwardness infiltrated her previously sharp gaze. Sojiro was able to pick up on the odd change in behavior, but could not divine its reason. So he simply started with what he knew so far and reported the most recent information he had.
ああ、水泳部はクビになった。
なんでよ
Aoko instinctively shouted at the unexpected response, like a human jack-in-the-box. This unexpected development threw her mind in a tizzy, and she momentarily forgot the complicated feelings she had been wrestling with.
だって今から待ち合わせだって。
それは、これからヤシロギの温水プールに連れて行ってくれるからだよ。
Sojiro stated this very matter-of-factly to the still reeling Aoko.
話がつながらない。そこまでうまくいってるのに、どうして入部を拒否されるのよ、あんたは。
そりゃ、俺が泳げないからだろ。
Aoko reached up with her fingers and pinched the bridge of her nose as she processed his answer.
しずきくん、昨日の私の質問は覚えてる？走るのか泳ぐのか、どっちがいいかってやつ。私の記憶は正しいけど、一応確認しておくわね。あなた、確かに泳ぐ方だって言ったけど。
ああ、昔から泳げないのはなんとか克服したかったんだ。反対に走る方は得意だけど。
Her energy spent, Aoko finally understood.
俺が1年なら1から鍛えてくれたらしいんだけど、あと3ヶ月で3年になる身分なのに、金槌の部員は雇えないそうだ。けど部長が親身になってくれて、これから泳ぎを教えてくれることになったんだよ。
Sojiro's words were spoken from a place of joy, a fact that failed to reach Aoko.
はあ、つまり欠陥品を売りつけたってわけか。こりゃ水泳部の部長に合わす顔がないっと。ちょっと待った。しずきくん、水泳部の部長って。
She stopped herself short of a girl. She was afraid of how that might look, that she might not be able to rein herself in if she started.
もういいわ。気持ちは分かったから、どこか遠くにいてくれない？少し疲れてて、とてもじゃないけどあなたの相手はしていられないの。
飛び丸もそんなことを言ってたな。青崎は昨日と今日、珍しく疲れてるって。何かあったのか？
ちょっとね。でもいいの。解決したみたいだから。それより、しずきくんはどう見える？私、そんなに疲れて見えるのかな？
Why had she asked him this? Blurting out things for no reason and on impulse. This was not usual for Aoko. Perhaps it was because she realized that this would be their last chance to have a normal conversation. After a few moments of contemplation, Sojiro conjured up a grin that cut straight through the tension.
そうだな。疲れているというより生き生きしているように見える。仕方なく畑を耕していた狼が久しぶりに狩りに出ることになって機嫌を上げている感じだ。
See, that's something someone from the mountains would say. He seemed so cheerful, like he was so happy for her. Without thinking, Aoko's hands went to her cheeks. If what he said were true, then she was grinning from ear to ear. There was just no way she would have made such a mistake.
とにかくありがとう。じゃあ、また明日。
Perhaps still not comfortable enough to wave to her, he said his goodbye with sincerity in his voice and smile, and took his leave.
待って。こんな話があるの。聞いてから言って。
Aoko called out after him. Her voice was cold as she admonished herself for having been somewhat affable earlier.
ん？
意味のない例え話よ。そうね。あなたが空腹で死にそうな時、目の前に同じように空腹で死にそうな2匹の動物がいるとするわ。しずきくんに銃をあげる。それでどちらかの動物を撃って。右はライオンで、左は子猫。選ぶのはあなたの自由だから。
It was a fable-like moral dilemma, especially the way in which it was cruel and rather preachy, the kind that if you thought too hard about, you would never find an answer. Sojiro answered quickly and calmly.
いや、撃たないと思うよ。だって自分の好きにしていいんだろ。それにほら、空腹ならお互い様だ。
He was not in the least fazed by the dilemma. He gave the most innocent response, so innocent in fact that it would give anyone pause.
長生きするわ、あなた。
すごいセリフだな。そんなことを言われたのは多分君が初めてだ。
Adorning his face was a smile wholly out of sync with his comment.
何よそれ。
She regretted stopping him. If only she had just watched him go, this conversation would have never happened. Sojiro Shizuki made his way down the sloped street. Today, just like every day, he probably had to work late again. Only Aoko and Alice remained, with Alice doing what she could to simply blend in.
つくづくこっちのペースを乱してくれるわね。あのちんちく無害な田舎者は。
Aoko clenched her right fist tightly as she cursed out loud. Anything to prevent herself from screaming at the top of her lungs. Whether that scream would be directed toward Sojiro or toward herself was another matter entirely.
青子。
Aoko heard Alice's soft voice behind her. Aoko knew what she was going to say, as she'd known for the entire time. Ever since Alice, having shown no reaction to any of the other students, changed her expression upon seeing Sojiro.
言わなくてもいい。あいつでしょ、目撃者は。
Her voice was cold as ice. It was the voice of someone talking about a complete stranger. The lion and the kitten. There were pros and cons to choosing either of these animals, the point being that she had asked him to choose one of them. In terms of risk, the lion was the more dangerous choice. The instant the gun was pointed at it, there was the chance it would fight back. Those who chose the lion required more courage, but any sense of the guilt that came with holding a gun would be forgotten. Lions are fierce creatures, a poor excuse to shoot an animal perhaps, but one that certainly helped alleviate the guilt. But what about the kitten, the weaker creature? It goes without saying that the kitten would be the easier target of the two, but choosing it would be a disquieting decision for anyone. Even if the kitten had no chance to survive, it was still too senseless to carry out. And to Aoko, Sojiro was that choice.
てっきり私もそうだと思ってた。
When she had felt that sinking feeling in the student council room, she ignored it. There was no getting around what must be done, she told herself. Until that is, Sojiro went and said what he did, causing her to resolve to waver. But the discomfort in her chest did not stem from any guilt she may have felt. She could care less for Sojiro. He was weak, and would be incredibly easy to deal with. Yet for some reason, she could not dispel her reservations. A transfer student who moved to the city from the middle of nowhere with no family to speak of. Few would have noticed if he were to suddenly disappear compared to a person of some renown. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we come back, we're going to continue on with this story and what these two plan to do with Sojiro.